There's probably no story more influential to modern science fiction than H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds is one of the earliest examples of the alien invasion subgenre of sci-fi, and over the nearly 130 years since its first publication, it's seen countless adaptations to any medium imaginable. Radio dramas, theater, comic books, movies, video games, even a rock opera have all been produced based on the original story. Earlier this summer, we saw the latest adaptation featuring Ice Cube release, and it quickly became the laughingstock of the internet for at least a few weeks. This led to many, myself included, reflecting on and revisiting the previous major adaptation of the novel directed by Steven Spieldberg. In today's video, we are going to look at the tactics and lore behind the invading aliens and humanity's resistance in 2005's War of the Worlds. The events of War of the Worlds go back long before the dawn of humanity. The alien species in the film originated from an unknown planet outside of our solar system, a major change from the novel which specified the alien homeworld to be Mars. And I mean, fair enough, by 2005 it was pretty clear that no intelligent civilization was currently residing on Mars, so Spielberg decided it would make more sense to update it with our current knowledge of the universe. Long ago, the aliens learned of Earth's existence, sending war machines known as tripods in preparation for a future attack on the planet. The aliens modeled the tripods on their own anatomy, with large triangular bases emulating their large heads and tiny torsos sitting atop three legs, roughly the height of a human. This differs pretty significantly from how Wells described the aliens. Initially, they were wet, leathery, brown-skinned, bear-sized creatures. They had a Gorgon group of tentacles, no major organs aside from their brain, and they fed on the blood of other creatures. The only hint in the film of what their homeworld may be like comes from the spreading of a red alien weed. It is an incredibly fast-growing vine made using harvested human blood. It's very possible, and I've always assumed, that the weed could be used for terraforming the planet by suffocating native flora, which of course would affect the atmosphere. The weed exists in the novel as well, although its purpose is never elaborated on, and it's unknown whether it was even brought to Earth intentionally. Due to the Martian origin of the red weed, the narrator speculates that it covers much of the surface of Mars, the red planet, giving it its coloring. Since the movie conflates the red weed and the aliens' harvesting of blood, it's also possible that the weed itself has something to do with the processing of food, or even a means in which the aliens reproduce asexually. This ties into the potential motive of the aliens. It's very possible that it could be the standard dried their homeworld of resources, so they've come to take ours angle, but the opening narration of the movie introduces a more malicious possibility. The aliens, a species described as cold and unsympathetic, have been watching the planet for years, studying us and growing envious of our domination. The novel was originally written as a then relevant criticism of imperialism, but with the film's update for the 21st century and going into production in the aftermath of 9/11, Spielberg said, "A lot of War of the Worlds is about our response to terrorism. Their overall motive may not be for their survival, but instead to simply destroy another civilization simply because they can. Earth's inhabitants, especially humans carrying a vital resource they need for survival, is just an added benefit. Additional livestock for them to feed on." The motive is made even more ambiguous given the timeline of the invasion. The tripods were originally sent to Earth long ago. Tim Robbins' character speculates that they could have been there for millions of years, which, I mean, we didn't see them landing, but that gives credence to a very cool theory. The tripod arrival coincided with the last mass extinction event. I mean, you probably know this, but the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event has been long suspected caused by a large asteroid striking the Earth. What if it wasn't an asteroid, but instead an ancient alien probe? This species planting war machines on a planet they deemed possibly habitable should they ever need to relocate, expand their empire in the future, or have some fun. The impact could have also been an early terraforming attempt. Other sources, such as the 2024 book Spielberg: A Retrospective, suggest that the tripods arrived thousands of years ago rather than millions, but the specifics aren't truly important when it comes to their plan. What is important is the fact that the aliens watched and waited for a specific specific moment to attack. Despite the long setup and the ancient machines, the first strike happened extremely fast, using the facade of a thunderstorm to take the planet off guard, leaving only minutes between their arrival and emergence. The aliens ride pods through the lightning in order to reach the tripods hidden underground. There's a bit of a twist here, which in hindsight is obvious, compared to other alien invasion movies. Aside from the tripod we see emerge in Bayonne, New Jersey, we don't know where the other emergence points were. Most alien invasion movies have the standard strategy of positioning ships and invasions around major cities or military targets, but due to the arrival happening in the past, this wouldn't have been an option. The tripods, rather, were likely spread across the globe evenly and supplanted with an EMP to deactivate any electronic weapons or communication devices, ensuring a swift takeover and eradication of the dominant species. The aliens don't begin their harvest immediately, instead opting to eliminate as many as they can, calling their numbers and spreading mass panic before establishing a beachhead. Unlike the novel, which had the Martians utilizing an assortment of different machines, including one meant to compensate for their physical limitations known as a handling machine, the film only shows a few variations of the tripod. The standard tripod stands roughly 150 feet tall, sports 2 energy weapons or heat rays, which brutally reduce living matter to ash. When the aliens first arrive, this is their primary method of attack, cutting through crowds swiftly and efficiently, leaving behind only clouds of ash and the victim's clothing. Whatever the weapon is, it's significantly more effective against organic matter. Another variation of the tripod has tentacles capable of grabbing and extracting blood directly from living beings outside, with cages attached below the base of the vehicle. The vehicle seems to regularly eliminate captors by pulling them into the base of the tripod, with 2 sprayers on both sides, presumably fertilizing the environment with the red weed. The third tripod variation is over twice the size of the standard, rising to over 400 feet tall, and this is known as the Uber Pod, according to some behind-the-scenes interview. These are essentially commanders of the army meant to deal with stronger enemy forces. Each of the tripods also has a defensive shield, making them extremely difficult to take down, especially via ranged weapons. They're made all that more deadly combined with their EMP. We don't hear of any tripods being taken down directly, and it's interesting to consider how over time after the initial lightning strike, the military would have tried to respond to this attack. Given that we see one tripod taken down by essentially an ordinary dude with grenades, presumably others across the globe were taken down through conventional means. The tripods and the aliens, however, in their attack against humanity are clearly intelligent. We see them purposefully disrupting human retreats, destroying bridges, capsizing ferries, purposefully hoarding humans into large groups. And really, given the overwhelming power, the presumably widespread attack across the globe, the use of EMPs disrupting everything from travel to communications, it's hard to think how humanity would have countered this attack. However, despite their years of planning, higher intellect, more advanced technology, the aliens ultimately do not succeed in their extermination of the human race or occupation of Earth. The aliens lose the War of the Worlds purely because of their own hubris. In an attempt to dominate and destroy our civilization, the aliens fell ill due to Earth's bacteria. The novels speculate that since the Martians had eradicated all diseases and illnesses on their planet long ago, their immune systems were left extremely vulnerable to bacteria from Earth. This is left open to interpretation, but the illness itself results in the slow and presumably painful death of the aliens and also the red weed they plant, which crumbles to a powdery white ash. The ending narration says it better than I can. From the moment the invaders arrived, breathed our air, ate and drank, they were doomed. Kind of a unique accidental bioweapon here. It reminds me a lot of Alpha Red from Star Wars Legends, maybe partially because of the color, but Alpha Red was a bioweapon meant to target not just the extragalactic Yuuzhan Vong invaders, but also their technology. Obviously, the good guys have ethical qualms about releasing such a potent bioweapon and genociding a whole species, especially given the genetic similarity of the Yuuzhan Vong to many species within the galaxy and the potential of the virus to jump from Vong to human. This is different, it's a bacteria, and humanity in no way utilizes it on purpose. But given this invasion, there was also no possible outcome where the aliens could have survived, and unless they figured out how to build an immunity to Earth-based bacteria, future similar attacks on the planet seem faithful. Despite the victory, the short attack by the aliens does significant damage to humanity, with the death toll surpassing 1 billion, not to mention, of course, the massive destruction. This adaptation is one that doesn't really follow the military or state of the world, but instead tries to put you in the shoes of an average person trying to survive the events. We know only what the protagonist knows and nothing more. The aliens disrupt global communication, so we don't know what the damage outside of Boston and New Jersey is like. We're left with one interesting question though. Why was this the time to strike? The tripods, whether for millions or thousands of years, had been on Earth for a long time, and the aliens had probably kept tabs on the planet, watching as humans evolved, formed civilizations, developed technologies, and gave weapons which, although not equaling the playing field, at least gave us a chance to knock a few of them down. Why did they wait? Were they only attacking when it was finally necessary for their survival? Did they desire to impose dominance on a lesser species? Was this routine? Were their intentions simply unknown and malicious? Or was it something else? My theory is they needed to wait for humanity to reach a critical mass so that there would be enough blood to fully terraform the planet to their desires. You know, it's really interesting. My dad was born in 1959. Without looking, what do you think humanity's population was in 1959? It was under 3 billion. The population today is about 8.25 billion. In 2005, it would have been about 6.5. Maybe they chose that time simply because Earth's population was large enough, but also accelerating quickly to the point where if they didn't strike now, maybe we'd be able to do something other than just get lucky due to some bacteria. Anyway, War of the Worlds is a really fun movie. That initial tripod scene is really terrifying, and they've got such a menacing presence throughout the film. I love that scene where the family just escapes the ferry and you can see them just ravaging the town in the background, scooping up people, blowing things up. It's partially so terrifying because there's absolutely nothing humanity can hope to do to counter their extreme threat. I actually very distinctly remember seeing this one in theaters. I was with all my buddies, and that scene where the son runs up the hill only for it to be like instantly destroyed, quite funny. Then of course he survives. That turned one of my buddies off the movie, but not me. Personally, I think we need more of these human scale movies which show us these massive events. That was my hope for the first of the, I think it was Gareth Edwards' Godzilla movie. It never really turned out. Cloverfield did it well, and I don't know, I think we're ready for more of these. Everyone's got cell phones now. Like, there's an early scene actually during the initial alien attack where there's a guy recording on his camcorder, and that's something I think most kids today would just not understand. Anyway, let me know what you think of the aliens. Where do they come from? What is their motives? What's their technology based on? And of course, did you enjoy the movie? If you enjoy this non-Star Wars, non-Halo content on the channel, please consider supporting over on Patreon. Listen, I'm going to be real with you guys. In October, we've been pushing this new type of content really hard, putting a lot of extra work in it. We've picked up 5 new members, and I want to thank specifically Mike, Nathan, Ixion, Beefer, and Gary. Listen, you can join for $1.50. It really helps out, and you get voting rights moving forward. Plus a bunch of cool extra content. But that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in for this long-ass video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.